Hello friends, welcome back to part 14 of this tutorial series. In this part we will implement the filter functionality in our project. So let's start. The first thing we need is a new component that will be used as a filter component to display the side menu, the filter side menu. So I'll use ionic generate again, and I'll generate a component. Name will be inside the components folder. It will be filter menu. So once that is generated, I'll go and remove the spec file. Okay, it's not there. Just not generate component. Okay, it says already exists. Alright, so I believe I already generated that. This is my component. It's an empty component, so this will only hold the menu. Okay, so the markup will be like this. Ion menu will have a content ID of, let's say, filter, and menu ID of filter as well. Site will be end. Inside that I'll have a ion header with ion toolbar color danger to make it red. Within that I'll have a title of, say, filter menu, and I'll also have some buttons here. And buttons wrapper with a slot of end. This will hold a button with the icon, slot icon only. Name is close the menu. Okay, now inside my content, I'm still inside the ion menu wrapper. Okay, I'll have a ion list with ion list header that will say h2 categories. So I'm only creating a filter for categories. Once you learn it, you can create as many filters as you want for brands, tags, price ranges, whatever you want. Okay, then below the label I'll use ion button wrapper again. Okay, and I'll place two icons here. First one will have a name of add outline, slot will be end. Second one will have a name of remove outline. These are plus and minus symbol. Okay, and in order to make this collapse and expand, I'll use Bootstrap. Okay, so I'll first import that package using npm install Bootstrap and jQuery. Let's do that. Give it few seconds to install the package in our dependencies under the node modules folder. Right, give it a sec. Once that is done, I'll simply go ahead and use the classes, and to do that, first of all I need to import the what do you call the CSS file. Import Bootstrap test CSS Bootstrap. Perfect. Save this, go back here, and for the ion label here it says categories. I'll use the classes, given the helper classes. For with the Bootstrap, dflex is to make it a flex box container, and I'll use and justify content green. will be centered. Yes. And for iron button, I'll use the data toggle attribute, collapse, and data target will be my filter menu. This is an ID that I will assign later. So below iron buttons, I'll put a horizontal row, and then after iron list header, I'll use iron icon with iron checkbox, and the checkbox I'll give it a color. Color secondary, and also I'll give it a name that will be derived from the list of categories that I have in the backend. Slot will be start, and also give it reference. It's a template reference which using which I can reference this particular checkbox component in my TypeScript. Okay, that's it. Below the checkbox, I'll have iron text, which will have the name of category. Alright, so with that, if I save the changes, and before I go to the browser, I will also go to my angular.json file here, and under the scripts tag I'll import the jQuery, not modules, will be jQuery test jQuery.main.js. if I'm not wrong. Let's see here, not modules, jQuery test jQuery main.js. Yeah, go copy source root. Nope, not source root, it should be this one, repository root. Save the changes. Then I'll also import Bootstrap test.js, bootstrap.min.js here. Copy repository root, put a comma, paste it there. Save it now, and I'll stop the compiler and run it again. And serve, no open, so this will not reopen the browser. Hopefully I entered the switch correctly. So let's see, we close these files, global.scss, tab1.module, sort module, delete this. And for the filter, I'll also need to create a function later on. Let it run first. I will check the functionality, and in order to open the menu, because right now if you click on the filter button, it will not open the menu. Okay, so to do that, you need to hook up this filter button here in tab 1 with a click event. That will be open filter or something like that. You can put whatever you want. Okay, so create this method here inside the tab1.page.ts, and I'll simply call this .menu controller. Do I have it injected or not? Let's check that here in our constructor. We don't have that, so I'm gonna put it here, private menu controller. These are inbuilt in Angular, I'm sorry, in Ionic. Okay, it's imported from @Angular/Ionic. Here I'll use the enable method, make it true, and the menu ID is filter. And also I'll use menu controller open filter, and use the then method here as well. Now save the changes, go back to your browser, it should reload, and once it has completed the loading of products, click here, nothing happens. Let's see why. Go back to console, there are no errors, and I know the reason is because we have never used this filter component anywhere here. So I will go on top of iron header and I'll say app filter menu, and I'll import that in the declarations, and that my ID also helps with that. And just below the filter menu I'll use iron router outlet with ID of filter. So this is needed whenever you use a menu. Okay, so an ID is filter. So save the changes, go back and wait for a few seconds, click it, there we have. Okay, we have the categories and we need to fix this. So let's quickly work on the filter component.ts file. Filter component, filter filter.ts. Where is it now? So I have to use it, I have to search it from here somehow. It's not able to search it using the search option. Alright, so we are inside the TypeScript file. So I'll add a couple of output decorators, or these are event emitters, and I'll decorate them with the output decorator. So I'll name it checkbox of type event emitter, and should be imported from Angular core. Any, this will be new event emitter. Okay, and inside this single quotes I'll give it a name. You can name anything. I'll put it as checkbox only, and the second one output, name it categories, any array. I don't have a category model right now, or do I? Let me check. Category model, I only have product model. Okay, let's quickly create a category model here. It will be a TypeScript file, category model. So we will import interface category model, and let me check my notes what all parameters it should have. And you can also refer to the documentation here for categories, product categories, and these are the properties that it can have. So I'll have ID as number, I'll have name as string, then a slug string, and image, which will be an object of type source with string and name string, and also the count. So it gives you the number of published products for that resource. Okay, here let me replace this with category model to get better intelligence. And after that I also define a boolean, collapsed boolean, and remember we used a template reference here for checkbox. We'll use that here with the help of the child checkbox, and we'll use static false and I'll give it a name iron check box of type iron check box. So this is imported from Ionic Angular. And in the constructor, I'll inject my menu controller, also the router from Angular router. Okay. So in the ng on init, I want this dot collapse to be true, and in my component you have these icons here, right? So I'll give them a condition. So my add outline will only be displayed if this is collapsed, otherwise this will be displayed. Also, I'll bind this with an bind a click event with a function on click, and the on click method I'll say this dot collapse equals to, well, I'll simply toggle the collapsed value. Then in the checkbox, inside the checkbox, it also emits an event with the name ion change whenever you click or check or uncheck the box. Okay, so I'll bind it to a function, say checkbox selected. Oops. Create the method here, and this will also give me an event, the default event, which will be passed here. Type any, and I'll simply first close the menu, that is the name, and use the 10 block here. Now the checkbox, that's my event emitter here. Okay, this will emit something which will be my name, event.target.name. Okay, that will be the name of the category that you have selected or unselected. Also the value for selected, event.target.checked. So these are stored in these parameters under the event object. So once this is emitted, we need to capture this in our tab 1 page here. We will do that in a moment, but before I go there, I need a click listener here, close menu. So this dot menu controller dot close, name is filter, that should be it. Save the changes, go back here, tab 1 here. Now we'll see these two events. Okay, so I'll go to the filter event and we'll bind it to a function, category filter. Okay, and we'll have the event object here, which will contain the name and the selected values there. Let's create it. Oops. We'll name it EV, and we know that it's not type of any, it's type of name. It will be string, and then selected, which will be boolean. So first we'll check if the user clicked the filter for the first time and nothing is selected. So we'll use the if condition here, selected, and this dot filter count. I also use store a variable here, filter count is to 0. So initially I'll have it as 0 with no filter selected, okay, and filter count is to 0. Then I'll say this dot filter category. I'll have another array to store the list of categories that I've chosen. Filter category list. Just type any array. Okay. So go down. This dot filter category list dot push. I'll push the first entry there, and that will be a list of strings or an array of strings to know which checkboxes have already been selected. Okay, so this will keep a track of what all categories I have chosen in the filter list. And filter count will be incremented by 1 each time, and the displayed list will be displayed list dot filter. There's the filter method that is there in JavaScript to filter the some object in an array, and I'll use the arrow function. So p dot categories, that is per that is executed on per product. Okay, so category, every product has a categories array in the properties, and we'll use this sum function here, some method, to filter the category name which equals to event.name. So this will ensure that only those products are displayed which match to this category name, okay, which fulfill this condition. Second thing is the else if condition. When if the category selected is not present in the list of items, which is this one, else if not in filtered category list dot includes. So if includes is a inbuilt function which can check the presence of something in an array. So if that is not present in the array, we'll again push it in the array. Okay, and now we'll define a variable here, product of type product model array, that will be well, this actually should be placed here inside the else if, and the else if will be ev.selected if a checkbox is selected and filter count is greater than equal to 1. Then we will check whether the filter category has that array or the element in it present in it or not, and here we will define a new array to store the list of products. Okay, so we'll work on the full list of products, the original list, and we are passing a copy of it. Okay, so we're not modifying the original list. And after doing this, we'll increase the filter count by 1. That's our standard method. And here we'll use dot filter on the new array. Again, p dot categories dot sum category cat dot name name, ev.name. Then I'll define a variable I to store the index. So I'll loop each of the products here using the for each loop, and my index will be equal to displayed list find index of prod such that prod.id is equals to p.id. Now based on this I, if product is present in the array, so then that means I is not equals to -1. I won't do anything else. I'll concat that here. And for that if statement here, oops, so all of this should be placed inside the if statement, and in the else part I won't do anything. And this else if ends there, put a comment here, end of else if, and have another else if when the option is not selected or unchecked, and this dot filter count is still greater than 1. I have at least one of the filters selected. Will again define an arrow, new array, not arrow, array here, and will decrement this by 1 because it's unchecked, and will remove the category from the filter list array. So this filter category list should be equal to this filter category list. But filter, I'll filter it for an element which doesn't match the name. So it will return all the product which is not matching with this event name, okay, or with the category name. And after doing that, if I'll check whether filter category list but length is still greater than 0. If that's the case, I'll send the display list equal to an empty array, and filter category list for each. I'll look through each of the categories that are present in the filtered list right now, and the displayed list will be displayed list dot concat what my new array dot filter, because my new array has the whole list of products I already copied. So I'll filter only those elements which match the string values present inside the filter category list. So it will be p.categories.sum cat dot name equals to element, and the element will be fetched from the new array. So this is on per product basis, and the element is derived from the for each loop. Okay, that will have an entry here in the string format that will have the category name in it. Okay. Once that is done, I'll go out of the if statement, then I'll check if the filter count has reached 0 after decrementing. That means no filter is present now. If filter count is equals to 0, so my displayed list will be a copy of list array, the whole array of products that I have, the original array. Okay. So nothing is filtered now. So that's the whole logic. Let me quickly go through it once more. So you have the event which has a name and the selected attribute. So first check is whether the array is empty or not, or this is the first checkbox that you select. So selected and the filter count is 0. So I'll push the name inside the filter category list and increment the filter count, and I filter the list of products based on the category name value. Okay. Second time when you check another box, it will be selected and the filter count will be greater than or equal to 1. So I'll first copy the original list into a new array. We'll increment the filter count, and then we'll check whether that that selected checkbox name is already in the list or not. If that's the case, we will not do anything because that's already selected. And if that is not there in the list, we'll push it first in the array, and we'll use the filter method on the new array here to retrieve the list of products that match that particular second category name that you have chosen. And then we will loop through each of those products, and we will store the index in a variable, and then we'll compare whether the index is -1 or not. If that is -1, that means the product is already present in the displayed list array. If that is not there, it will be added to the displayed list. Okay. Then third case, where you have unchecked the box and filter count is still greater than 1 or equal to 1, we'll do the same thing. This time we will decrement the filter count, and we'll filter the list to get rid of that unselected category name. Then we'll check whether the category length is still greater than 0. If that is the case, that means we have some items selected in the filter list. Then we will loop through each of those string values, and will keep on concatenating them to the displayed list, because we have emptied the displayed list here first, and we are working on a new array here, so that our original array is not mutated in any manner. Okay, we will check for the name of the elements that are still inside the filtered list, and will store only those products inside the displayed list. And if the filter count has reached to 0, my displayed list will be reverted back to the original list. So let's check this in action. I'm gonna save the changes. So it's this video has gone over 30 minutes now, but this is worth it, trust me. So now if you see, we have 10 products here. Okay, and I haven't implemented that thing here. So let's quickly go to the filter menu .html, and we have to loop through the items here. Okay, so we'll use ng4. ng4. Quickly, let's see of categories. Okay, we'll have a class of collapse, and id of id will be this filter menu. Okay, and here I'll have c.name. Save the changes, go back. this categories, output, right? I'm sorry, this should be input, because I want to supply this from here, and categories will be list of products, I think I need to pass those. I need to first fetch it in the ng on init. We'll store it somewhere here. Get category will be of type categories, category model array, and in the ng on init I'll go to my product service dot get all categories, and to promise, oh, this is already a promise, I guess. So this dot category is equals to await categories. Survival of category model. I'll not use the to promise here. Okay. And go here, and let's say to promise. There you go. And in my component I'll bind it to the categories variable. So now this will be passed to my filter component here and will be displayed or used here. Okay, save the changes, go back here. There you go. You see the list of categories. So this is how you do component to component communication using either output decorators or input decorators. So whenever you want to send in any value from the parent to child, so you will use the input, and from child to parent you will use the output. Okay, now if I select, let's say, decor, I don't have anything. Under clothing, let's see, it's not showing anything. And what about hoodies? Let me load few more products here. Okay, so there is something wrong here. Just give me a few minutes to debug it and I'll come back in a moment. Alright, sorry for the delay. So I managed to fix the issue. Now if you see, this is the whole list of product, and if I select hoodies, I only have hoodies here. If I select clothing, so I'll have hoodies and clothing, and if I remove hoodies, I'll have clothing. And let's say if I select decor, which is this item, the first one, so it's part of clothing as well as decor. So if I select decor as well, so it will not be added twice. Okay, and if I remove clothing, only this will be left. So the issue that why it was not functioning earlier is because in my filter menu I forgot to replace the name attribute with the c.name variable. It was like this. Okay, so make sure you put this interpolation tags and you send the name of the category as the attribute there, because in your event emitter you're sending the name as the name. Okay, so by default if you don't make the change, it will always send the name string there, and that's the reason it was sending as blank. So with this, I would like to end the video here now because it's over 40 minutes. And in the next video, let's say we will start working on the cart functionality. Okay, so till then, please like, subscribe and share my channel with your friends. If you have any questions or suggestions, please put that in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next time, and you will find the source code in my GitHub repo. Till then, take care and thank you very much.